All right, we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Delusions of Automotive Grandeur. Uh, this week, we're live again. So, hey, there's that. And it's all three of us. So, even better. Brent, myself, Charlie, and Steven. And so, Steven, I think you have some thoughts, something to kick us off with.
Well, first thing we're going to start out with, Charlie, thank you for the intro, is the throwback to last week.
Oh, yes.
We need to check in on something. So let me if I can do share screen. And I'm going to do, oh, wait, I can share my second screen and then everything's still hunky dory. Now I'm going to do my primary screen. This, ladies and gentlemen, is called live, quote unquote, television. All right, we'll go with that one. Okay. So, yeah. So, can everyone see? So, as you can recall from, I don't know if your thumbnails are covering Brent on the top right, but as you may recall, if you were watching last week, decided to do a bit of an experiment. Although I like our sort of austere Delusions of Automotive Grandeur square logo thing that we've got going. As most of you know that survive off of YouTube these days because we can't go anywhere. That's a more typical graphic is this. And last week I spoke about I'm gonna come with something crazy. I want like fire. I want something controversial for no reason, like
You want a
trash talking
clickbait.
old 911s or something. And then at least one person has to have their mouth open and be looking at a weird angle, aka that's what I'm doing. Um, and we need the word live in red, and we need some fire. The best thing is actually kind of looks like it's almost the same 911, but that's actually two different pictures. You'll see a gray door on the left. But I think now the trick is we need to if I can
Make another one for tonight.
well, no, well, I'm happy to make them as much as you'd like to, but oh, look, we're live. There we are. But I'd like to see, yes, let's look here. So hold on. So previous video, 6 views. Yeah.
So
17 with the crazy graphic.
So what you're saying is it's working.
It's working. Like,
All right, well, you're promoted to our graphics department. You're now head of graphics.
Brent,
Well,
are you okay with that?
everyone,
Go right ahead, as long as I get
Steven,
all
head
the
of
documents
graphics.
and everything else.
Director of graphics.
Director of graphics. Okay, so that's one of the things that everyone would kind of enjoy. Is trying to follow up on that from the previous week.
Oh man.
But now I'd like to segue into and after this, I'll shut up in case you want to talk about something. But I wanted to segue into a Charlie section actually, because Charlie, to those uninitiated out there, is look at that beautiful graphic. Is a coding scientist, or that's what I call him. When he goes to work, he dresses like Doc from Back to the Future. And he puts on like a wiry white hair wig and drives a DeLorean and runs from the Libyans. But anyway, so This is what happened. So I noticed a few years ago, I was working on my 32-year-old primer that someone put on my 65 Mustang over an intact layer of paint. I was working on the car, and my cousin Joe, who will eventually be on the show, had a like a wet t-shirt rag kind of thing, and just water. And I just looked over on my hood, and he was just like scrubbing on my hood with it. I'll share a picture in a second, which will be pertinent. But and he was taking the paint off the car, or taking the primer off, and there was fairly intact red paint under it. And so I've had this big old spot on my hood for years and years and years. And I was bored the other day. This is where Charlie's going to enter. And here's the experiment. So explain to everyone sort of what's going on here is that my car started out as sort of the bullet metallic green, which I will go back to one day when I have enough money to actually strip the car and paint it, which, I don't have $10,000 laying around or whatever it costs. And then someone painted vintage burgundy metallic, which is a factory color. And I've just learned, Charlie, that as you can see that gray primer in there, it's actually been painted burgundy twice. So anyway,
Someone loved that burgundy so much. They were like, you know what? I'll do it again. Yeah.
Double down.
Do it. Yeah.
So
you could have one of the best looking greens in the history of like greens.
Yeah.
Or
vintage
brown.
It was actually called vintage burgundy, even though it was a new color.
That's
Anyway, so
amazing.
so
You're
this
like,
is the thing.
it's gonna look old real fast. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that so everyone's seen. Let me flip through the pictures a couple more times, and then I'll go back to the video of everyone talking. And by the way, this was 220 very gently with water, and then 320, and then 400. Obviously, I need to be starting probably more like at 320, moving up to 800, but whatevs. Let me go to the next picture, which is a slightly different angle. And the so this is the situation. Let me go back to stop sharing. We'll go back to video. Is that I am bored. I don't have money to paint my car, and I'm getting a little tired of the primer. Which I don't really have a good picture. I should have had a before picture sort of readily available for people.
That was enough, I think.
Yeah, you could see off to the side, like, oh God, he's been driving that.
It's all that same color.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Let's take it for what it is. It's an old Mustang. No matter what, it's still cool just because it's on the road running, like
functioning.
That is a feat in and of itself. Sure, it's not the candy paint job, garage queen, perfect. It's a driver's Mustang. It works, and sure, it looks rough, but it's fixable.
She's a good girl. She's a good girl, Charlie. And I got to tell you, if you go to a hotel in Monaco, and don't worry, I'm bringing this back to a primered Mustang. If you go to a hotel in Monaco, and you are in a Ferrari 458, the maitre d' at the hotel is gonna be like, yeah, whatever, okay, fine, another Ferrari. But if you show up in a 1935 Bugatti or 1930s Bugatti Type 35, they're gonna be like, oh man, and people in the streets, they're gonna be like, wow, you don't see that every day. Wow, Well, I got to tell you, that happened to me today. I drove the Mustang, and I got to tell you, Type 35, Monaco, primered 65 Mustang to Zion Crossroads, Virginia, like the Walmart. People were really excited to see that car today. It was just like being in Monaco with the Type 35. But my point is this, is that I am bored. I'm kind of tired of the primer, and I'm thinking about very gently and sympathetically wet sanding essentially the entire car like that. And I would take the gloss black stripes that I've got on there, and I would sand them to satin so they would sort of match the surroundings. There are a few places where other people have done metal patches, and there's a little bit of Bondo. And what I would do there is I would just sand it really well, prime it. You can buy a color matched vintage burgundy rattle can from CJ Pony Parts. And what I would do is I would paint that section, let it dry, put it out in the sun, really bake it and dry it, and then I would sand that back to satin. And then therein lies the question. So it's going to look like in those old pickup trucks. You see like 9 different layers of paint, with some stripes mixed in. And this is my question. I am a woodworker. Mm-hmm. And what I'm noticing, by the way, is when the car is satin like that and I'm wet sanding it, for that few seconds that you have it with the water on it, you're like, damn, it actually doesn't look that bad. It's shiny, mm-hmm. The magic of the clear coat. So look, I could take the car somewhere and pay a lot of money and have them poorly overspray all my stainless and all this stuff to get a satin clear or something put over the paint, mm-hmm. or maybe a slightly shinier than satin clear. And it would add thickness to it. It would be a good quality thing. It would handle UV. Mm-hmm. But then I got to get it off of there someday. And I'm thinking like a woodworker. I'm thinking this car doesn't really see rain. You're going to be like, no, Stephen. There is a thing called wipe-on polyurethane that they use for woodworking, and it's super, super thin. You can wipe it on with a cloth, and it has, I think, maybe alcohol or something. And when it evaporates, it's so thin it stays flat. I did a whole guitar finish with it. It took 15 coats, but I didn't even have to wet sand it. It just lays flat. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of taking like some satin and some gloss and sort of mixing it. Oh God, I shouldn't try to mix it because I would get it wrong the second time. So I'll pick satin or gloss and just literally doing maybe even just a single pass or maybe 2 passes of a wipe-on polyurethane over 30-something-year-old primer and mainly paint, and then take it out in the sun and expose it to sun. Talk to me, doctor. Will it fall apart?
So it's one of those, like any doctor who's not a real doctor on television. Mm-hmm. I only play a doctor in a laboratory. Yes. Um, I can talk to you about why I would not recommend just going for any wipe-on polyurethane, mostly because there's going to be a chemistry difference
Yeah.
for trying to bond with wood versus trying to bond with uh, primer.
Mhm.
There's like a you want to. There's different application needs there. Yes, you could probably do it. Yes, it probably would stick for some time. Um, or for the same amount of effort or like slightly, maybe slightly higher, you could still do a like spray on rattle can job that would be close enough that you would be protecting your base coat and you'd be prolonging the life of anything underneath of it.
I guess the lazy part of me is thinking about, like masking and, probably having to do at least some wet sanding to get runs and stuff out. Yeah, I know. Brent's like, wait, Steven, you care about runs? It's going to be like a splotchy 5-color paint job, and you're like, runs. But
Right.
I think the main thing is just like avoiding. I really don't feel like masking all the stainless.
Sure, I hear you. I will say you're gonna have to mask it even if you do the wipe on stuff.
Yeah.
And I will 100% tell you, in my experience, that preparation is everything.
Yeah.
So if you do a bad job with masking on the wipe on stuff, it's still going to be bad. If you do it with the spray on stuff, it's still going to be bad. But the difference
It'll
is if
actually
you do a
work.
bad job with the spray on stuff, it might actually work.
It might still
Versus,
work even though it's poorly done.
right? Like
Yeah.
I would, like I think we've all seen rattle can paint like cars going down the street, and like we've all seen $500 Mako paint jobs before as well. And it's I've seen people turn spray paint cars into like oh wow, like you would not from like a 10-footer
Mm-hmm.
you could passable like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
go look at chunk cars like they're not
Yeah, yeah.
they're spending $50 on a rack of paint and like going to town like and some of it looks like a $50 paint job and some of it looks passable. um so yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
Okay. So
um
chemically use something that's meant to touch automotive paint.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean it's gonna the thing is like a wipe on poly for wood never has to deal with being hit at 70 miles an hour. And
Mm-hmm.
like at
Oh,
least in
abrasion
automotive
and yeah.
spray on polyurethanes, like it has a little more adhesion, it's a little more toughness built into
Yeah.
it. So when
You've
it
got to think about heat. You've got to think about gases as well coming off of the engine / exhaust.
yes,
You've got a lot of stuff there that
Don't
yeah.
worry, I inhale
could
all
be
that before it hits the
flammable.
paint. I inhale that before it hits the paint.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
my lungs just take the
And
take
also, GTI Ben Kenobi says go with the gold chrome wrap. So
Gold coat, there you
I
go.
think
You've already got
here's
it to
the thing.
primer.
We've already got 2 out of 3 that are saying yes for that. So you're doing it.
the. Well, yeah, I
That's
was
a
going to say
democracy.
too that. Yeah, let me get the chat going here. Oh, he is here. He is present. Oh, I've got to mute this because I've got like
All the alarms.
yes, everything going. But most of the time when people and Brent, I wanted to ask you this. Like most of the time when people are like trying to make a cosmetic choice on their car, they know what it's going to look like when they're done. Like this is like, I'm going to peel off this 30-year-old primer. I really don't even know what I'm going to find. So, have you ever, I mean, I guess what would you do? Would you just leave it as it is now? Because I'm totally satisfied with the way it is now. I'm just bored and I want to try something different because it's been this way for 10 years.
I mean, I would want to see what's under there.
I could wrap it maybe because paint would be, it'd have paint to adhere to.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to see what's under there and, see if there's anything salvageable. Probably not, but at least see what there is. And worst case scenario, I mean, go get a Mako paint job. I mean, you
Yeah, I mean that's
get that done, and I mean, you'd have actual clear coat on there.
Yeah,
that,
I
and
think
then
yeah.
on top of that, you could probably take it over to what's his name there,
Daniel.
To Daniel and get it wet sanded down and buffed
Or you
really
could learn
nice.
how to wet sand.
Or that too.
Well, yeah, I think the main thing for me too is that
Like,
like
you already know how to wet sand. You're just doing it.
Well, to me, I've had a lot of thoughts about, you know, cheaper paint jobs and all that stuff, and I just don't want to do it because I just don't want to add more thickness that I have to get off later. Because when I do it, quote unquote, right, which I want to calm the viewers down, I do intend to do it right, and they will go down to bare metal and be.
Well, that's
etched.
why I say sand it down now and see what you get, and then, you know, worst case scenario, you get a $500 paint job just to play it safe for a little bit.
Yeah.
Until you can, you know, save up your pennies and buy
my
a nice
thought on a real paint job for that and taking it down to bare metal. That's one of those things of like, that's a, you know, pricey proposition. And like, you know, depending on what happens in life, like, could that be 5 years? Could that be 10 years? Could that be like a much longer project? So if you're thinking like, what is a temporary fix? Like, if you're happy with the color, like, yeah, I just say like, I mean, like, or even like go and be like, hey, Mako, I need a clear coat on this. Somebody put a coating on it. Yeah. Like, it's been wet sanded. It's been thoroughly rinsed, like, relatively recently. And like, you know, see what they say. Or like, honestly, again, adding a clear coat on something, like, even if you overspray on stainless steel, it's gonna come off.
That's true. Actually, stainless is pretty resistant to
like things. I mean, like, trust me, I have to deal with painting stainless steel for my work on a regular basis, and I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Great job, stainless. Keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I have other things to talk about, but I feel like we start these shows and I just yak on these bullet points that I emailed myself during the week. So what's going on with you guys? Like, you know, have y'all been working on the cars any? Oh wait, hold on. Sorry. Before we segue, I said in the chat to Ben, or I guess someone did. Any one of us could have typed that. Yo mama has a GTI to Ben. And so he responded in the James May voice, "Good news. The old GTI is finally getting fixed next week." I tried.
One less broken GTI back on the road. Yep.
So what's going on with you guys? Anything in car world that's exciting you or depressing you? There's nothing in between.
I mean, nothing. I mean, I've seen lots of cool stuff in the car world. Personally, I haven't done anything like it, which is like kind of super boring. I can tell you I've watched a boatload of YouTube.
Too much.
So I can tell you all about what I've been watching. But yeah, nothing. I mean, it's been so busy at work trying to reconfigure some stuff, and yeah, I'm trying to think. What was the last thing I did was like, I don't know, like been driving it around town, but that's really boring. So like, I'm not going to talk about it.
I love it, but you know, we always talk about these things we're doing with our cars, these exciting things, and sometimes it's we all need to remember that when things are totally normal and you're not doing anything to your car, you're driving it. I mean, that's what that's the purpose of this, you know.
Oh yeah.
Usually.
I always love driving the Mustang like I did today, and then when I get home, because the way my garage is arranged, I have to swap the Fiesta and the Mustang's positions in the garage, and it's always fun to drive a modern manual versus a vintage manual. By the way, Kat's back. That took a total of 5 seconds before she found this again. Perfect. It's just the clutch in the Fiesta is like, you know, after driving the Mustang, you could just push your foot through the floor because you know, when you get in the Fiesta, because you expect it to be so hard to push, but it's like nothing, you know.
You also shared a photo of your mom driving your Fiesta.
Yes.
What was her? You know, you've now had the Fiesta 5 years on. What was her 5-year review of the Fiesta driving experience?
Wow, Kat is stepping on the keyboard.
And we have lost Steven.
And he's gone forever.
I'll be back if I can figure this out. Literally, what the flying crap did she do? See, look, I didn't curse. She turned off my video. Holy animal! This is a dog and pony show right here.
And he's back.
I'll just put it up here. Okay, seriously, this is. Hold on.
Who's the pet?
He's gone again.
Which one?
Yes,
is Steven? Steven's the pet of the cat, right?
Yes.
Cat runs the show.
Cat
cool.
owns a house.
Yep. Check.
It is my custodian, or I am her custodian. Wait, other way around. Yeah. So the Fiesta you're asking, like, I've had it for a while. I still love it. My mom is one of those people that has very little confidence in her manual driving ability. She had a sort of a scarring incident on a hill once in DC, and I think in a Fiat actually in the 70s, which is actually kind of cool. But so she just downplays her manual abilities, and then she gets in the bloody car, and she literally, like, you know, when you're doing fast driving, it's sort of like animation, that it's smoother when you're shifting. You know, when you're casually shifting first to second, I always find it harder to do that smoothly versus like a power shift or something like that. She drives it like freaking Mario Andretti. She gets in there just
Like,
absolutely perfectly, like butter.
She's like no lift shifting through your gears, and you're like, wait, what?
No, I said that wrong.
Mom.
Not in a fast way, but I mean in a smooth way. I mean, she's in the Jensen Button way. They always say he's a smooth driver. I'm like, what the hell
What's
is that?
the Fast and Furious reference? Just double clutching, just
No, well, I'll just say that she drove it absolutely perfectly, and we did the most
good.
masculine and badass thing possible to do in such a fast, amazing car.
Did you get
We went
milkshakes?
to a no. Did you say smell armpits? No.
I said milkshakes, but
no.
smell
We went to
armpits?
no. Damn it, we went to a lavender farm, Charlie.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was very pleasant. It was very pleasant.
I mean,
Smelled nice.
I feel like I'd want to take a nap.
It was glorious. There were bees, pollinators, very important.
Very important.
Anyway, but it was
Thought about keeping bees recently.
she's amazing, and it's got hill start assist, which the one time I was like, Mom, look, it's got hill start assist. You don't have to worry about rolling back. That's her only fear, is rolling back at a stop sign.
Sure.
And like the one time I got her to try to do it, the hill start assist didn't work. It didn't recognize the hill or something. I'm like,
of course.
And so the thing is that when she learned to drive manual, they didn't really have effective parking brakes. They were those stupid T handles on the dash and everything, which don't work. Or if it's even a worse design, it's like my Mustang. It's an L-shaped Bakelite handle that your life depends on when you pull on it. If your brakes are out, and it's L-shaped, so the torque just rips off the handle and then you die. Perfect. Anyway, so the handbrake trick really wasn't a thing it was back then, and so I finally taught it to her, and she's like, "Oh, you've been saying this for years, Steven. It's great." So Brent, explain what the handbrake trick is, so GTI Ben Kenobi will know. I'm messing with him like he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
I'm just gonna assume he doesn't, because
he knows.
He's a multi GTI owner, and those people are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you have the e-brake up when you're at the stoplight. You get your gas and clutch right where you need it to be, and then let the e-brake go, and perfect start.
And what I heard was you hold the handbrake until you're at red line, and then you drop the handbrake and throw it into gear.
That was that really robust. That was for the really robust clutch in the Mark 7.5 GTI.
Yes,
I think
yes.
That's what it is. And to my variation, Brent, was that when you feel the car just gently start to hunch a little bit, then you go. So I showed her, then she's like, "Oh, okay, I like this." So I got a pretty sporty picture of her driving.
Now I just want all of you to have to do this on the other side of the car, so you can just be like,
"Oh man!" Just thinking about that, just like
it kind of hurts
my brain a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of hurts a little. You're like, "Ow, ow, ow."
Yeah. I didn't struggle with it. I tried it with Gran Turismo when I first got my shifter for my my wheel.
Yeah, but did you start a e-brake start and everything?
Yeah, it's a little different.
Virtually, yes.
The car is like lifting, like moving, and yeah.
Ben says that he needed to do it in the Mustang on hills. He had a Mustang?
I think it's I drove it. He let me drive it. It's 96-ish, I think. GTI.
Yeah,
what do you got?
Not Fox body. It's the one after that.
Yeah, SN90.
Yeah.
Let's see if he says
slow ones.
Oh, 20 seconds.
It's gonna be
delay. I forgot.
It's gonna be a while. So
yeah,
let's just move on.
He's probably very intoxicated right now. Yeah, he's depressed because he can't afford his third GTI.
I mean, you know.
I have a Falcon update.
Tell us more.
Apparently, you don't need to own a car to ship it.
Oh yeah.
I was shocked at that.
I mean, like it's like the you also don't need plates if you just bought it. Usually, like that's why you might occasionally see cars traveling with no plates.
Like on an 18-wheeler kind of thing.
No, I mean like driving.
Oh, okay.
Like, have you never seen this? Like where a car is like just rolling down
Not
the
in
road with no
Virginia.
plates. Yeah, in Virginia, like I've
Unless
seen
it
it.
was stolen.
Oh no, I've seen it 100% like multiple times, and it's like, but apparently it's a thing where like it's kind of a you're like basically playing the gray area of like most places will give you like a 24-hour leeway of like you have to get it registered, but you also have to have like all the documentation in the car as well, saying like, yes, I
Yeah.
just bought this car, and like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so like, yeah, I've seen some. It's definitely like the people who do this are definitely like they know it's sketchy, and they're just like, we'll play the gray. It's fine. It's cool. That's how we do what we do. And it's like,
Well, in this case, you know, like this car has got like an old registration with it, and the guy who sold it is standing there saying, "I'm willingly giving you this car to put in your
yeah,
18-wheeler to take to Virginia." So this
yeah.
is great because the Virginia DMV is backed up like 6 or 9 weeks, and I keep forgetting to get an appointment too, which isn't helping. So,
Yeah, that'll do it.
and
I
also
thought you were
apparently
going to wait in line or whatever.
I tried. I'm thinking this brilliant thing. I could go to a small town, everyone, and maybe like that little DMV wouldn't be on
Nope.
the state's database, and everything is being open and closed, and I could sneak in. No,
Everybody
just a
knows.
sign on the door. Oh, and then the classic thing happens, right? So I get there like 30 minutes before they open because I'm going to be like the first one, get in and out.
Nope.
And no, I kind of pull. I'm like, oh crap! There's a sign that says they're closed, and I pull the Fiesta, and I hate this about the Fiesta. I pull it in front of the doors. I'm like, oh, I want to get out and read the sign, and it freaks out when your proximity key gets too far from the car and it honks. And then the people inside are like, what? And they get up and start coming to the window. I'm like, no. This is a stupid keyless entry thing. Anyway, because it was still running. That's my point.
Keyless.
It's like honk honk. I'm like, oh.
Not even once. And then you're like, oh, hang head in shame, and
No, I just ran. I just got in the car and did a burnout.
just scurried off.
Nice little peg leg burnout with my open diff or no
Yes.
diff. Does it have a diff? I guess it does.
It's open.
If I'm bored one day and hyper rich, I think it'd be really fun to experiment. There's a Ford Racing diff for that car because obviously it's very popular in Europe to mod that car, and Ford themselves make a diff for that car. It's not terribly expensive. I imagine installing it would cost as much as a house.
I think my experience with looking at pricing for diffs, if it's anything like the GTI platform, it'll be about 12 to 15 to buy it, and then another 8 to 1 to install it.
Yeah, this is a little cheaper on the buy side. I think it was like $800 or $900, but
Yeah,
it's
sure.
still same neighborhood.
But it's also in Europe, so you got to get it here.
Yeah, but it is sold. I think it's sold on the U.S. site, which is random. I'm sure it ships out of Europe because they sure as hell don't use them here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brent, what
They're
did you
like,
see at the
yeah,
gas station lately? Sorry, Charlie.
Oh, it's okay.
There was a new C8 over there today.
Oh, cool.
It's a
Color.
white one.
Okay.
It's been around a little bit. I8s. That's about it. I haven't been looking out the window lately.
Have you seen
Been
any
too busy.
cars that isn't like a letter and then the number 8?
That isn't. Oh
Yeah.
oh yeah.
You're like I8, C8.
Didn't think about it that way.
A8.
Not really. I mean, a bunch of G wagons, which are just crap. I hate them.
All right, so how many cars can we mention that are a letter and then 8? Did you said A8, right? R8.
I8.
Is there an Audi A8?
B8.
There is an A8.
And there's an R8.
R8.
GTI Ben Kenobi,
M8.
help.
A B8 is a platform of
M8.
Audis.
Oh, M8, yeah. No pop. It's got to be a badge, or badgeable.
Outside of that, I can't think of any.
Okay, well,
I think we got them all.
Well, that was a great
I think that was
section,
it,
guys.
man.
10 out of 10. Would do again.
I'm definitely throw it in the comments, people. People got something else. Let's see if no one. Come on, GTI Ben.
Yeah,
I can actually see how long we've been going too, because on the YouTube thing it says.
Yeah, they're like, wait, why are they just going on an alphabet and numeral tangent? Like, why? Why did they do that?
Super interesting.
I mean, look, we're all losing it in this wonderful time. It's great. Watch us descend into madness.
I'm having a sanity rebound in the past week. It's weird.
I went
look, if
straight
your heart-
downhill.
Oh, that
Straight
sucks, man.
downhill. Into the trash can, through the trash can, into the woods.
Are
Go
the woods pleasant, Brent?
No.
Are there birds in the trees?
No, they're all dead.
They're being cut down by a lumber company.
Is this Fern Gully? Oh man, What a scarring movie. Uh, Go
Yes.
watch your weird 90s movies, children.
Yep.
I have one other thing to talk about.
What you got?
Okay. There was a comment, the Formula One race at I used to try to like be cognizant of the British people and say Silverstone,
Mm-hmm.
but the announcers are saying Silverstone. So now
Yeah.
I don't know what to do, and I'm just scared that the
I
British
would
will come after us, although we beat
I
them.
would still say Silverstone.
Silverstone.
Yeah, Silverstone.
It's my favorite country outside of the U.S. I'd like to go there again soon. But anyway,
Same.
and they had an interesting comment, and it's the kind of crap I really, and I was supposed to do research like I did for losing the point last week. Aptly named because often I start conversations and then lose the point. But the it's the idea of relative Formula One qualifying speeds from year to year, from the back of the field, front of the field, in reasonably similar weather conditions. You all know tires mean everything, but that's the one time, not a race, in qualifying where they're fully balls or ovaries out. I mean, they're going for it. And it's really interesting, this little fact that came up. The Mercedes this year qualified approximately 1.2 seconds faster a lap than they did last year. As I recall, I could probably look this up, but I believe the McLaren was only about a second or so off the Mercedes this year, which means the McLaren, which is like it's like basically one of the best of the rest now, is now better than the previous year's Mercedes, which was all dominating. And so when you have like McLaren that's been struggling for years to get back to their form and they've got a good trajectory now, you keep thinking of them as, man, they still suck. Or look at Williams. Williams is 2.3 seconds off the pace, even though George Russell is amazing. But 2.3 seconds, if you go to like 2018, they would have been pole setting.
Right.
And that car's considered crap now. Like just an interesting point.
Well, I think what you're bringing up is, the F1 racing series is so much, how much money can you sink in to milk every second of performance out of that car?
Yep.
And, like I will, just put a disclaimer on this. I have only been following auto stuff like from the various sites. I don't like study it. Like I know some people out there are religious about this. But I know Mercedes is like the top spender right now. Like, and that's just like a fact. And until like you put a cap on how much teams can drop like preseason and like say like this is what how much development time, or like until there are restrictions in place, like it's just like throw money at the problem. And
well, I don't know if you guys have seen the updates this year. It's pretty interesting. COVID has really forced the hand of everyone. Everyone's tired of Red Bull won 5 seasons in a row and now Mercedes has. It's boring as hell. And at least the chance of other teams getting podiums would be nice. And that's sort of the goal. Respron is on top of that with the major car redesign coming and everything. But on the budget side, COVID has forced their hands. They had a budget cap set of like 175 million before COVID, which was supposed to be progress, which is fascinating.
Is that budget cap this year, or is that I thought the budget caps went into place next year?
Right. So the 175 would have been, I believe, it would have been started to go live next year.
Okay.
And that excludes driver salaries, obviously, because Lewis Hamilton would probably be 30-40 million easy.
It's just car development overall.
Yeah.
But this is really interesting, also. So first of all, they've got it down to 145, which is freaking awesome. But the cooler thing is this: they have limits on the amount of wind tunnel time that you get. Basically to correlate your computer's fluid dynamics predictions to what actually happens in a real wind tunnel.
Right.
This is super cool, is that the slowest teams get more time allocated than the faster teams. Now, of course, the faster teams are going to have better models and everything,
Sure.
But,
like Mercedes already has a really good model built. Like, I imagine.
But you have to verify, this means Williams, for instance, may get 30% more time in a wind tunnel over the year than Mercedes.
Sure. And like, that's, it's a balance of engineering.
Yeah. And it's in a way that doesn't dilute Formula One, I think. I think it's kind of a cool way to do it,
Yeah.
Kind of along the lines of the losing the point thing last week, Formula One, with this $140 something million now or whatever, $150 million, and that's cheaper. Back in the day, I think someone did an inflation adjustment that like the best Formula One teams in like 83, 84, if you convert it to today's dollars, was like 30, 40 million tops. It might have even been less. So they really have just gotten out of freaking control.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bernie.
There should be a cap no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting Ferrari to agree to anything, of course, is. And Ferrari's defense was, we're going to have to lay off all these people. Well, you shouldn't have hired them in the first place. We never should have been in this situation, And they live in Italy. I have much sympathy. Trust me, I have much sympathy for anyone getting laid off. But God, if I was going to be unemployed, I'd want it to be in Italy. I just walk around like, this sucks. Just totally, really sucks. But God, that's beautiful. Hello, ladies. Are you going into the pizza store? I'll go into the pizza store.
I like that you have this image of what Italy is, like that there are all these like beautiful people always around in Italy. Like,
and all they do is go to pizza stores, especially, and they're called pizza stores.
They're called pizza stores.
No one's ever called it that. Okay, GTI Ben Kenobi has input. Yeah, it's lame. This is lame, Ben. This is lame. He's saying the M8 Grand Coupe as a variation of. I mean, the M8. They don't make.
We said the M8.
Yeah, we said the M8.
I didn't know there was like a 4-door.
We're not going to get into variants of that. That's
we're not going back that way.
Ben, go buy another GTI. Come on.
Insert all the big M8 memes, please. Those were the best. That was peak.
And they started it again this year too.
I know. I'm so glad it did. Like, weird car Twitter is so good about bringing that back around. It's like, yes, here for it. Like, yeah, I love it.
Yep.
Oh, I like this. I can prop my feet up. I got nothing anymore, guys.
Oh man.
Yeah. I was gonna say we're up there on time anyways. So.
Oh yeah, look at that.
If my camera would focus at all,
no.
but no big deal.
Your camera's like, oh, I heard it was timeout.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, time to go.
Yeah.
I got.
So.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I think. By the way, I got your screen cap for the graphic. I believe. Yes, Brent's out of focus. Perfect.
Good. Perfect.
Good. All right.
Oh man.
We're gonna end it there. Like, subscribe, comment, do whatever. Let us know.
And may all your delusions be automotive and grand.
Dear.
Nah.
Exclamation point?
Question mark?
Yes, question mark.
Question mark.
Question mark.
See you guys.
See ya.